President Trump and the European Union appear to be backing away from a trade war. Mr. Trump and European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker yesterday agreed to work toward eliminating tariffs, trade barriers, and subsidies between the two economic giants. The EU said it could buy more products from the U.S., including soybeans and liquefied natural gas.
They also agreed to resolve the dispute over steel and aluminum tariffs. President Trump says the two sides are starting on new ground.
We met right here at the White House to launch a new phase in the relationship between the United States and the European Union, a phase of close friendship, of strong trade relations in which both of us will win.
The president later tweeted a picture embracing Juncker, writing, "The U.S. and EU obviously love each other." That's quite the hug.
Not just embracing. Look at that smack on the cheek.
That was quite a little embrace there. It was a sharp change in tone for Mr. Trump, who spent weeks attacking the group.
Who's your biggest competitor, your biggest foe globally right now?
Well, I think we have a lot of foes. I think the European Union is a foe, what they do to us in trade. Now, you wouldn't think of the European Union, but they're a foe.
The European Union is possibly as bad as China, just smaller. Okay? It's terrible what they do to us.
They kill us on trade. They kill us on other things. They make it impossible to do business in Europe, yet they come in and they sell their Mercedes and their BMWs to us.
President Trump had threatened to impose new auto tariffs on the EU, but they are on hold for now while the talks continue.
Ian Bremmer, Eurasia Group president and CBS News senior global affairs contributor, joins us now. Ian, what do we make of this deal? How big a deal is it? And what is left on the table to be discussed between the EU and the U.S.?
It's love for sale. Wonderful to go from foe to l'amour so quickly.
Yes. Foe no mo.
Yeah, but this is a ceasefire. It's not an end of a trade war. What we really should say is that there never was a trade war. There were a couple of initial skirmishes back and forth. We have not taken our existing tariffs, the new ones, aluminum, steel, off of the Europeans. And we are continuing our investigation into the automotive tariffs. We're just putting a suspension on actually implementing them. So the pressure is still on, but the tone has obviously changed. The Europeans have now offered preemptorily that they're going to buy more American soybeans. They will at some point buy more LNG when there's more U.S. capacity. Let's actually see if that gets implemented. They've said they're going to work towards lowering tariffs. Obviously, automotive would be a big part of that. Now we have to see if it actually moves. Reminds me of what happened after the Singapore meeting between Kim Jong-un and Trump. It sounded great. There was a deal. There wasn't anything concrete in the deal. We no longer talked about fighting each other. But in reality, U.S. policy, North Korean policy hasn't actually changed that much. It's exactly what we're seeing right here.
I heard two takes. One take from the critics was this could have been what the president got if he just started the conversations in the first place, not gotten in there with the punitive tariffs and the criticism. The other take was he has leverage now because he's roughed them up a little bit. He's got the EU coming to him wanting what he wants. Where do you come down on that question?
I think he does have leverage. I think short term, he ends up probably getting a little more from the Europeans than you would have gotten if you were just being Mr. Nice Guy. He did get capitulation like that on trade with the Brazilians, with the Argentines, and with the South Koreans, using the same basic tactics. But the actual relationship between Trump and these European leaders is enormously damaged. And long term, that erodes the strength of these institutions and architecture, which will have an impact. Let's be clear. Everything Trump has done in policy over his first year and a half has been made to try to get the American economy to be juiced in the short term. He's more than happy to blow out the budget, doesn't care about long-term deficits, more than happy to say, you know, let's get regulatory off our backs so small and medium businesses will do better. The only thing that looked like it might have been a fly in that ointment, right, was taking the hit on trade, and that he didn't do.
So that was the threat to the U.S. economy, those potential tariffs. Let's talk about the threat to U.S. national security in Russia. We saw the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, take it on the chin from senators, including Republican senators yesterday, who blamed the administration for a massive cleanup effort after the Helsinki summit. What's going on now? What have we learned about what Putin and Trump agreed to?
Well, we haven't learned anything about the 2+ hour private conversation that Trump had with Putin. No one else was in the room except a translator, and I don't know if we'll ever get the full readout unless Putin at some point wants to give it to us. But what we do know is that policy didn't change. The Americans didn't recognize Crimea as a part of Russia. They haven't actually suspended military exercises in the Baltic states. They're not removing troops from Germany.
Part. Yeah.
No, all of this
argument.
Stuff. But Trump coming out of the meeting didn't do any of those things. In fact, I suspect that sanctions from Congress against Russia are likely to be increased somewhat over the course of this year, which is one reason why that invitation to the White House of Putin has been suspended.
Yeah. After Putin indicated that he wasn't going to come.
Well, he just hadn't answered the invitation.
Yeah, he indicated that he might not be coming so soon.
Yeah, I mean, it is very weird that Trump still wants to have this extraordinarily friendly relationship with Putin compared to any other leader in the world, friend or foe. And yet, if you look at actual American policy towards Russia, even after this extremely unusual Helsinki summit, the reality is U.S. policy towards Russia is deeply broken, and it's probably on balance getting a little bit worse. Not much to see here on policy.
Ian Bremmer, thank you so much. Sure.